breaking news coming in at the moment, and this is in regard to Places of Worship Act. The Supreme Court refusing to hear a separate plea. The plea challenged the constitutional validity, and the Supreme Court allowing the petitioner to file intervention plea. This is the Supreme Court refusing to hear the plea against the recent, we're talking about the recent Allahabad High Court order, and this is an order directing the ASI, the Archaeological Survey of India, to undertake whitewashing of the exterior part of Sambal's Jama Masjid and to recover the amount of expenditure incurred from the Masjid Committee. So we have Nupur joining us. Nupur, take us through what really happened here with the Supreme Court refusing to hear that separate plea.
Well, yes, today two separate petitions were in fact filed before the Supreme Court. One in the Places of Worship Act. This was in fact moved by Nitin Upadhyay, a law student. He had contended that he is moving the Supreme Court on different grounds which have not been raised earlier. The ongoing validity petitions that have challenged the Places of Worship Act and the validity of Places of Worship Act. However, the bench of CGI Khanna held that there was nothing new in his petition and in fact refused to entertain his plea from the start. However, the Supreme Court said that if the petitioner wants to approach the court again on the similar grounds, he has the liberty to file an intervention application in the ongoing matter. Thus, the Supreme Court refused to hear this petition from the start. While in the Sambal matter, this was a separate plea that was listed today in the Supreme Court in the same bench of CGI Khanna. It was filed against the Allahabad High Court order, which had allowed the whitewashing of the disputed mosque, that is Shahi Sambal Mosque, that comes under the ASI. However, the Allahabad High Court had ordered that the Masjid Committee shall bear the cost of painting of the outer wall of the masjid. However, this petition had in fact been filed challenging that order, saying that since the monument is under ASI, then ASI should bear the cost. However, today, a bench headed by CBI Sanjeev Khanna refused to interfere with the order at all, and in fact has said that it will not entertain any petition for now against that Allahabad High Court order.
Right, of course, but coming back to the Supreme Court refusing to hear the plea under Article 32 of the Supreme Court, there refusing to hear that separate petition challenging the constitutional validity of a section of Place of Worship Act 1991. So the Supreme Court allowing the petitioner to file an intervention application in the matter. But Nupur, really take us through what did the court really have to say?
Well, first of all, the Supreme Court at the very start, CBI Sanjeev Khanna in fact said that they are not inclined to entertain the petition. Previously, if you remember, while hearing the main Places of Worship Act matter, the CGI had in fact remarked that so many petitions have been filed in this ongoing case, and it said that there has to be a limit on how many parties can move this same petition and can become parties to this ongoing matter of Places of Worship Act. Remember, several political parties, including the Congress, CPIM, have in fact filed a petition in the Supreme Court in favor of Places of Worship Act, while many right-wing organizations and petitioners have in fact moved challenging the validity of Places of Worship Act. Most of the temple mosque disputes that are pending in India today, be it the Shahi Idgah Mathura temple dispute or the Gyanvapi mosque dispute or the Bodhshala dispute in Madhya Pradesh, they are all dependent on the result of this particular Places of Worship Act matter when that is pending in the Supreme Court. So now, today the Supreme Court has refused to entertain a fresh petition filed in it, and however, the main matter is still pending in the Supreme Court on the validity of the constitutional validity of the Places of Worship Act.
Right, of course, the Supreme Court had flagged concerns over the rising number of intervention applications, saying that too many petitions had been filed and there's a limitation when it comes to the interventions being filed. Thank you so much, Nupur, for joining us with those details.